meeting to order?
No, George, we did.
Becky, can you call roll, please?
I didn't even miss
President Bill DeSmet.
Here.
Vice President Richard Lindsay.
Here.
Secretary Annette Campo. Treasurer George Sleepford.
Here.
Trustee Lisa Middleton.
Here.
Trustee Carrie Nicholson.
Here.
Trustee Larry Williams.
Okay, we will observe our customary moment of silence. Okay. Richard, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
Move for approval.
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, members of the audience may address the board on agenda items only. Seeing none, we will move to special presentation, College's Maymester at Marshall Public Schools.
Just how we do this every year. My name is Sue Ellen Hankey, for those of you who I might not have met before. I'm a faculty member at the Department of Education at Allegheny College. And we are here representing and I'm going to let my colleagues introduce themselves and I'm going to go take pictures. But we're here representing the 12th annual Boundary Crossings Maymester Experience. And this is a program that we were excited to work with Marshall with last year, and we're excited again to be working with every single school in the Marshall Public School District. And I'm going to let my colleagues introduce themselves and tell you a little bit more about it. But one thing I just want to highlight is that we are spelling it M-A-E-Mester this year in honor of one of our founders, who's a retired principal from Harrington Elementary School from long ago, and she's also on the Board of Trustees and an esteemed member of the NAACP, Viola Dunklin. And her spirit is infused all the way through this Maymester Boundary Crossings program, and so we are honoring her beginning this year by referring to it as Maymester. And I'll let you talk about our grades.
Hi, my name is Karen Hoagland. I the liaison in the First Summer Center for Teacher Development. Like Sue Ellen said, this is our 12th annual Maymester. So this is our 12th group of students that we get the joy and privilege of working with, and they are absolutely awesome and fabulous. As Sue Ellen also said, it is in honor of Viola Dunklin, who was the former director of First Summer Center for Teacher Development, as well as the building principal at Harrington for many years. And I had the privilege of teaching under Viola for 6 years. So this year's support is given to us by the Mimi Foundation as well as the Cronin Foundation. So everything that our students are able to do for these next 3 weeks are because of the support from the Mimi Foundation as well as the Cronin Foundation. So hopefully all of our students will be taking field trips, getting ready for our Showcase Learning Fair with their projects that will be on display, which is also the night that we will officially honor Viola Dunklin and calling it Maymester. So, thank you.
Nice touch.
And hi, my name is Betty Makwaparicola. This is my second Maymester. Last year, I was trying to figure out the pieces. There are so many moving pieces in this program. So I just want to thank you for always being responsive to our needs. There's been a ton of changes since I first came to Albion. This is probably my 4th year, and I cannot, it's been head spinning, the changes that have occurred. But with each change, the school district administration has been very, very responsive to our needs. So for that, we are eternally grateful. We are looking forward to another successful semester or program in May. It began today, and it began with a band. I already visited 4 elementary schools today, and the students are doing awesome. teachers are very excited and they're very supportive of the prospective teachers. So again, we thank you for always being supportive and for always being responsive to our needs. We look forward to continuous collaboration and partnership. So thank you.
Thank you.
They're just gonna each like a brief little snippet about what they're doing and where they are. Very brief.
Hi everyone, I'm Skylar Campbell. I'm under Sarah Ravensthorpe in the middle school building. I'm teaching 6th grade math and exploratory, which is a bit outside of my comfort zone. That's why it's called boundary crossing. So I'm a history major, so math is not my forte, but you know, it's been fun. So I'm teaching about personal finance. My project is called The Game of Real Life. So one thing I always hear kids complain about, like on Facebook, you know, is that they wish they learned more about like taxes and personal finance. So like, oh, let's start. So that's what I'm doing. So it's been fun. We had fun today. So looking forward to it.
Bless you for working with our 6th grade.
I am Megan Mofo. I'm working with Marcy Heydrich at Walters Elementary. My project is called An Animal's Life Cycle, so much more to see. And throughout the month of May, my class will be observing and learning from painted lady butterflies. So we're very excited.
Hi, I'm Julie Vitale. I am working with Teresa Reinhardt at the Shamrock Center. My project is called The Art of Using Your Five Senses, and we'll be integrating art along with English, math, and a little bit of science to create a texture collage. We will also be doing a field trip at kids and stuff.
I'm Emma Benjamin. I am also at the Shamrock Center. I'm with Rachel Barnes. And my unit is called Growing Up Sustainable, Learning to Grow Our Own Food. So we're learning how different vegetables grow, and we just planted our bean plants today. So hopefully they grow because the kids are super excited.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Saxa. I'm at Harrington Elementary with Kelly Carnes in the 2nd grade. And my unit is called A Plant's Life Rooted in the Community. So we're just learning about how plants grow, and the kids are getting to be scientists and experiment with what happens if you don't water a plant versus giving it water. And so that it all culminates into planting a nice little garden for the class, as well as creating journals for each of the students to integrate English language arts.
I'm Brittany Rogers. I am with Shannon Robinson over at Gordon Elementary. We will be doing the unit Animals and Me, sharing a habitat with wild creatures, and we will be doing discovery-based learning. For example, we had a veterinarian come into our class. We plan on going to Ketchum Park in Marshall, and we will go into the Lighthouse Nature Center.
Hello, my name is Darian Nelson, and I'm at Hughes with Lindsay Thompson, who is a kindergarten teacher, and she's pretty awesome to have to deal with me. But so I sort of am a science teacher, so I was sort of having difficulty with like the little ones because they're little ones. But so I like, oh my gosh, we can make this really fun, and so I made them a lab notebook because what we're doing is we're bringing ladybugs into the classroom and we're observing the life cycle of a ladybug. And so today we made the habitat, and so I didn't think kids would get so excited about collecting rocks and sticks and leaves, but they were very excited, so we're going to see if we can keep the ladybugs alive for 3 weeks. I can't keep a plant alive, so we're going to see how this one goes. But yeah, that's it. Sweet.
Hi, my name is Kendra Cook. I am at Gordon Elementary, and my mentor teacher is Valerie Bowman. My unit is called The Garden and You, and so overall we'll be learning about like ecosystems. We're actually going to be planting our own garden out in the flower beds that are at Gordon. So, and we're in those gardens, we're going to observe the type of ecosystem that we see in the garden. So, super excited about that.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rachel Zawadi. I'm at the Marshall Opportunity High School with Mr. Michael Squires. I'm in a 9th through 12th grade U.S. history classroom, which I am a history major, so that's pretty lucky. So my unit is called the Civil Rights Movement in the
You might want to stick around for my presentation.
Hello all, my name is Jared Karsma. I'm studying English at Albion and Education, and I'm in a chemistry classroom. I'm with Tracy Haroff in Marshall High School, and I wrote a unit plan where we're studying the oil spill that happened in Marshall back in 2010. So we're gonna do some water testing, and I'm gonna put some pen and paper in their hands, and we're gonna do some writing as well. So.
Hello, my name is Amanda Baumgart, and I am with Miss Laura Brownell at the high school, at Marshall High School, and I am working with one of her honors English classes in 9th grade. So for the month of May, they were already set to read Romeo and Juliet, so I had to find a project to work with that. So we came up with the idea of costuming it and working in character analysis and character design into that, and they seem very excited to get started.
And I'm Sarah Finn. I'm here at the middle school with Julie Ostring, and I am working out of her advanced theater class. And my project is called Creativity of the Heart, a collaborative dramatic production. This is like a two-part title. The first part refers to the play we're going to go see, which is Crimes of the Heart. And then we are working together. The whole class is going to be writing the play together and performing it. So definitely looking forward to what they produce.
My name is Matt Burr. I'm with Mr. Josh Adams at Marshall Opportunity High. We're going to be doing, we're going to be integrating biology, which is my major, physics and math together in the Algebra 2 class, is first hour. And we're going to be using project-based learning, so we're going to be doing, we did an egg drop today, we're starting project, and then we're going to do, next week, we're going to do a lab where we go down to the White House Nature Center and actually like do some sampling of the species in the river, and then determine the water quality.
Hi, I'm Taylor Saltman. I am at the Marshall Opportunity High School. I'm working with Mr. Jason Raditz, and I'm doing high school chemistry and biology. And I'm a history major, so I, as well as Matt, am doing project-based learning. We are both doing egg drops, and we're both incorporating the salmon release project, but with my aspect, I am also incorporating economics and history and how, with the salmon, like how it's helped shape local Michigan history, and egg drop, how it has helped with technology development.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. We'll also be releasing salmon into the Kalamazoo River.
What you guys want to do is...
I got it on my long way.
Matt and I are collaborating on some of our projects together, and also we invite you guys to come to the North Science Center at Albion College, May 24th at 6 p.m. so you guys can see all of our projects and ask us more in depth about what we've done, what we've learned, and how we plan to further our education, and how we plan to further better ourselves as future teachers.
Sorry, one more thing. As you guys heard, we do have a lot of field trips, so if there's a field trip that you would like to attend, you can email me or Swellen or Betty, and we can give you more information as to where they're going to be and what time they're going to be. And we have projects that vary from tadpoles to live ladybugs to massive amounts of peanuts. And all of these supplies were possible because of all the grants that we did get this year with Cronin and Mimi, as well as me, Sherman.
Any questions you guys have?
I'm just amazed at all the different things that you guys are doing. So good luck.
So you can see the incredible enrichment that they bring to the district, and we're really happy that they're in all 8 of our buildings, and hopefully we'll just continue to expand and grow and do this more often every year.
When is Mayola? Is she going to be recognized on May 24th?
Correct.
At that, okay.
Very good.
Awesome.
So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hey, Ben? Next year I want walleye in those tanks.
Okay. Next, we'll move to board topics, board policy 6325, procurement federal grants funds.
Take it away.
How deep, did you guys get a chance to look at the policy? So, basically this policy is, just to oversee federal grants in more detail. So it's coming down from the federal grant side of things, and they're saying basically micro purchases, 3,500 and below, 3,500 and above, we need to get bids on, and that's pretty much the bulk of what is changing. And so this hits us with our title dollars and with our food service dollars. So we're just having to go out for bid a little bit more on those and making sure that we are spending the funds appropriately.
So I assume it was a form that they recommended. We then filled in the blanks on it.
It's actually new. Is it new or is it new policy?
It's we have a little bit of federal grant policy in our board policy, but this is just Neola's updated version of what they're requiring.
Yeah, this is actually, I was going to say, this is part of the package of Neola policies I approved a while back for revision to be able to bring to you guys for approval. So we had to move faster than what we could move with all the policies to get this for this particular.
This has to be board adopted by June 30, and so we have to, and then we have to start practicing it by 7/1/2018. And so I pulled this out of the board the policy that needs to come, but just to make sure that we had it taken care of.
So. And who's requiring it? What federal branch of what?
It's the title dollars that we get. That's the federal dollars that we get.
So part of education.
It should be in, it should be in the very bottom back of it.
I don't.
Okay, CFR 200.317 to 326. What would be CFR? We'll give this to you.
Sorry. I was just curious. I read through all those lawsuits and not all of them, but the principals that were indicted and convicted in Detroit, and there were pieces of that all through this, and I was wondering what the relationship was. It may have arisen. There were a lot of small purchases that were done with fake invoices and all that stuff. Bill remembers that stuff from his bank fraud days. So
Feds aren't very happy when title dollars get misused.
Makes them real unhappy. I'd move for approval of the policy.
Well, actually, I think it's just for discussion.
We're just discussing.
We're just discussing it, and then it will
next time.
come back in May.
We'll make it available out of Kimberly's office.
Previously, was it 3,500 or was it 5,000?
It was 5,000.
Okay, that's what's sticking in my head.
Yeah.
It was 5,000. Now they're saying it should be It should be 3,500.
See, our general board policy says that anything over $5,000, we need to obtain 3 quotes.
Okay.
And this is saying 3,500, so that's why it needed to go to board, so that we just, it will be on federal dollars. However, anything outside of like just the general fund dollars, we will still get the $5,000, the $5,000 quotes, 3 on those.
Okay, so this is just for those.
This is just for those dollars. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I thought 5,000 stuck in my head for some reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Any other questions?
Can you just tell me what a bid protest is?
Pardon me?
It talks about a bid protest. I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
Where are you seeing that?
It's on page 10. That the district maintains the following protest procedures to handle or resolve disputes.
Bid protest.
Hold on, let me make sure.
That has to do when we have competitive and we award bid, and then somebody can protest back that they weren't given due consideration. We say it's, we accept on the best value, and it doesn't necessarily adhere to the cheapest or least expensive bid. So sometimes that comes up in conversations with bids.
As I said, I've been on this board for 8 years, and we've been blissfully not had any of those. Had several with the county there who usually they show up in the audience with whatever to complain about it eventually. So.
Yeah, so far.
But good process that we're doing to not have people complaining.
Yeah. Usually the key with that is making sure that the other time that could happen is if there was confusion on what the bid was for.
Right.
So there was discrepancy. One person bid this way and this other company bid a different way, but we wanted it this way. So I think you guys do a great job really defining what the bid is for and detailing it, and probably getting questions during the process to make sure things are defined. So those are the only times I could ever see us getting a bid protest, but I think our process is pretty solid. So
we had a guy come to the county board with a suitcase full of $75,000 of cash. So this is what you're costing the taxpayers. It's $75,000. He opened it up. So anyway, I'm good with not doing that.
Visuals. Okay. Oh my God.
Everybody else good?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, no more stories.
Okay, we're gonna move to B, Civil Rights Panelist Presentation.
Ben, can you hit the light over there, please? Thank you. So I was invited by the State Office of Civil Rights to come to Eastern Michigan in a week and a half, I think, or 2 weeks maximum, to sit on a panel in front of the Civil Rights Commission and the commissioners. And they are interested, the first panel will be talking about consolidation, mergers, and annexation. And of course, we'll be there, Ypsilanti will be there, and a couple other folks that have tried it. And the CEO of the Civil Rights Commission is really excited about our presentation because we seem to be the most successful. And but his words, not mine. And so he asked if I would send him some data to look at for the commission before we sit down. I'm not presenting this data. I'm going to give it to them in their packets so they can read it before they come in. I'll probably refer to it a little bit, but they really want to know the story. I have 10 minutes to tell the story of the annexation. You know, that's going to work. That's really going to work a lot. But I wanted to show you what information and data I'm sharing with the state, because I think it's important for you guys to know that. So Marshall Public Schools trend analysis, this is on the high school outcomes, high school graduation rates, AP or advanced placement, college enrollment. There's a few other items in here I threw in. And we're looking at all students, and we're also focusing on all African American students from 2013 forward, which is 13-14 when we started the cooperative high school with Albion, and then so forth. This is a timeline of the past 5 years of growth. I got a little grayer as I wrote this. 2013-14, we formed cooperative high school between Marshall Public Schools and Albion Community Schools, became educational provider for Michigan Youth Challenge Academy, expanded the Albion Fellow Scholarship Program at Albion College as far as receipt of those kids, and then helping to work with Albion College on that. In 2015-16, we formed cooperative middle school between Marshall Public Schools and Albion Community Schools mid-year, which has never been done by any district in the state, and now I understand why. Became education provider for Michigan Job Challenge Program, which was a new addition, and also implemented Eastern Calhoun Early College, or ECEC, in Albion. For 2016-17, first year after Marshall Public Schools annexed Albion Community Schools on 6/30/2016, and we implemented the partnership for Albion Community Leaders PAC grant with Albion College. I put that in there because I want to talk a little bit about that unique partnership between Maury Ditzler and myself in regards to bringing that forward. And actually, we have our first African American teacher coming through that program, graduating this spring or this summer and ready to teach in the fall. Awesome. So we're real excited about that. So total number enrolled at Marshall Public Schools and number of economically disadvantaged. As you see, from 2013, we went from 2,258 students all the way up to 2,848 students this this current year. Last year we were at 2,903. You can see the I don't know what color that turns out to be, but the orangish color, burnt orange, is economically disadvantaged, and you can see the number of students that are now in our district economically disadvantaged has grown to 44.7%. 44.7%, which is really amazing when you think about what that creates and the challenges that creates for families and kids, and our system, and helping them work through what their needs are so they can be ready and able to learn. That's really, it's an interesting piece and a huge change in our demographics.
What is it like across the state? Like, is it more 33% or?
I don't have a state average, Carrie. Thanks for asking that question. Yeah, I can't tell you. I don't know if that's. I think it's probably likely that it's close to that. If it's not in the 40s, it's in the high 30s.
It's highly variable based on region, I assume.
Yep. So diversity, percent of racially diverse students in our school system in 2012, 2013, when we had 2258, we had 9.54% children of color in our district. A little under 10% of 2,258. Now, this year, in 2017-18, we actually have 24.44% of 2,848, which is a nice chunk if you do your math. It's essentially 1/4 of that amount. So our diversity has increased, our economically disadvantaged has increased, and then the question that always was raised when we were talking about annexation was, how are our test scores going to be impacted? Which in very many ways, depending on the source of that question, is fairly veiled racism in the question itself. So I want to make sure that people know that I'm not answering that question. I'm celebrating the fact that we were able to successfully go through annexation, successfully go through cooperative high school and cooperative middle school, and really serve all of our clientele well. And the rest of the data will illustrate that. Albion resident students passed and expected positive outcomes since 2013 in our secondary programs, which includes the Opportunity High School and the Marshall High School. We had 526 students that were actively attending, that were residing in Albion. Over that period of time, we had 69 dropouts after the kids were actively engaged in our programs, and it left us with 457 students that were on pace or have graduated. The Opportunity High School 912, students by race and outcomes since 2013. The racially diverse males, which is right there in the middle. Let me see if I've got this. Oh, sorry, right here. Racially diverse males. 38 have come into the program, 27 remain in the program successfully. We had 11 drop out at the Opportunity High School. For white males, we had 59, 32 remain. We had 27 white males drop out. When we say drop out, that means we verified that they have not re-enrolled in any secondary educational program and have not requested their CA-60s to go anyplace. For the Opportunity High School, for racially diverse females, we had 25 come in, 20 are still actively pursuing, and 5 had dropped out. And then for white females, we had 40 from Albion, 34 are still active, and 6 dropped out. For Marshall High School, 9 through 13, students by race and outcome, we had, what's that figure? I can't see it. 102. Thank you. 102 students came in, 96 remain actively pursuing, 6 dropped out. So they've either graduated or they're actively in our programs on pace. 79 came in of white males, 69 have graduated or are still productive, and 10 dropped out. Again, a higher rate of dropout with white males. 109 racially diverse females, 106 graduated or still involved, with only 3 dropouts from the high school. And white females, only 1 dropout from the high school, 24, and now we have 23 that are involved. 74, and now we have 73.
This has got to mirror like a national trend for females in general pursuing education more than males, right? I mean, we're seeing that. Don't you see that trend on a state, national level even?
Yeah, the African American, in particular African American males, are at highest risk of not being successful. Females a lot different, their rates are a lot higher. I was a little surprised about the white males living in Albion and the risk that they pose for themselves as far as not completing high school.
Why do you think that is, Randy? Why do you think those numbers are so high?
You know, I haven't figured it, I haven't looked at that as a study yet, but that'll be something we'll be talking about. I'm concerned because a number of the white males were coming from high poverty circumstances, didn't seem to feel like they fit in with either program, and were more likely to leave school altogether as opposed to going into something different. But I mean, I don't want to conjecture why that would be. I think those are, we'll just look at the characteristics and come back with it. So overall, Albion students attending Marshall secondary programs by race and positive outcome. We had 71 racially diverse males at the Opportunity High School, and being successful, we had 94 at the Marshall High School. Overall, our percentage of success is 88% of our racially diverse males are successful in high school completion. White males are 54, 87, and overall at 73. Racially diverse females at 80, 97 at the high school, and 94% overall. And white females, 85, 99 at the high school, and 94 overall successful in these programs from students that resided in Albion. That's really incredible.
That's really incredible.
So let me illustrate this a little bit further. High school completions for all students, and compared to the state average, our high school completion is 96.7 versus 77, 95 versus 86. You go all the way up here, 97.5 in 2017 versus 80.2. The state average has stayed pretty consistent along that 80% category, and ours has been pretty consistent around that 95%, 96% category. And one could argue, well, so what? It's so what if you don't understand what our rigor is and what our success rates are in comparison to outcomes to other folks in the state. African American students, specifically, I'm bringing this to our attention here in this, and to the commission, because the Civil Rights Commission do ask, how are your African American students doing? Because they know that the state of Michigan is the lowest state in the country in regards to productivity of high school completions for African American males in the country, number 50. And in that context, we have started out in 2013 with, this is our baseline. It was 95 that were from Marshall High School and 63 for the state. We stayed at 94 for the next 2 years. We dropped to 81.8%. Don't know why that happened in 2016. But compared to the state, it was 67.3. And then we popped up in 2017, 95% of our African American males are successfully complete, or African American students are successfully completing high school relative to 68.8% for the state of Michigan. That is what I call statistically significant. And I hope the Civil Rights Commission recognizes that. We also looked at Marshall Public Schools Advanced Placement AP for year enrollment trend. And you know we've received National Honor Roll status 5 times out of the 7 years they've done that National Honor Roll. And it's because we've increased our numbers of students taking the exam every year. And it's also because we've increased the diversity of our students taking the exam. To now we have 495 students taking AP coursework, and we have 56 students that are students of racial diversity that are now involved in AP. We want to continue to see that grow. That's a pretty cool stat.
So that grew even with the math and science student. Those students are not included in that, right?
Yes, because we brought on, we joined Math Science Center in 2015-16.
So we're growing both programs then.
Yep.
That's
Some
fantastic.
of those students could take AP classes in a year, right?
Could they do both?
Can they do both?
I don't know. Ben, do you know if they can do both? Math Science Center and AP coursework?
Well, I think with their social studies AP.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Do some of that.
Oh, so
But
there
for
might be
math
some
science, they
crossover.
take all their
Some
stuff.
crossover.
And everything they take on exams in math science or AP focus on math and science.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Here's college enrollment. All students percentages relative to the state. 2013, we were at 86%. State was at 78%. It's gone down each year. But part of that is we're increasing more and more our career and technical education.
Right, that's my first thought too.
Yeah, so, I mean, that altogether is not a bad sign. I think people are becoming more and more focused about really what their pathway is, which ones they want to take. And more they might go into work and skilled trades and those types of things, not represented in college enrollment. But then, you know, longer than 48 years later, they might go into college and get their degree paid for by the employer. You know, so I think that's part of the reason why that is. And if you look at the state, at 71.4%, they're at 60.8%. So we still have the edge in regards to students.
So that number is next year after senior year enrolled in college?
It actually goes all the way up to 48 months.
48 months.
So they start when there's from the time they started collecting it. So this one right here, whoops, sorry. Did I mess that up? Yeah, I did. Can you get me back? When you take a look at the 2017 numbers, that's only, thank you. Yeah, that's okay, that's great. The 2017 numbers actually represent only 12 months. And if you go back to 2014-15, they're starting to talk about 48 months out. We also looked at the stat, I don't have it in here, about our students sustaining successfully within college. And we're around the neighborhood of like 47% overall for all students who go into college, sustaining themselves for a 4-year degree. And the state is somewhere in the realm of like 19 or 20. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. College enrollment for African American students. We were at 100% in 2013, I'm proud to say. We had 4. But when you look at the higher numbers, as you see we go year to year, I'm really pleased about the growth here. We went from there, we were pretty high the second year. Then here we were right underneath the state average. We popped back up with a big difference, and we continue to maintain that difference. Which again is really great, and a lot of accolades go to Albion College for the work that they do with the Albion Fellows and making sure that we have diverse students come. Darn it.
That might be the last one.
Why do I do that?
That was the last one.
Okay. So. That's it. that's all the data I have right now. I'm not sure how I'm gonna wrap it up, but I'm gonna send it out to the Civil Rights Commission for their review. And hopefully they'll be prepped so that when I start talking about the challenges of annexation, I can also talk about the successes. I gave you a copy of it so you can have that data to reference if you ever need to.
So,
right?
Like a press release about would be nice.
Press release about what?
About your testimony in front of the Civil Rights Commission.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good.
Randy, do you know for this year with graduation just being a few weeks away, are we pretty much right on target with our percentage from last year?
Yeah, actually, we're at around that
year?
97. We're probably a little bit higher, possibly. I mean, everybody, they went through and double checked, and there's only a handful that aren't on pace. So I think it's going to be pretty successful. Ben, how you doing?
We're doing pretty good. I mean, we'll be another 50-some kids this year too.
Yeah, awesome. So good stuff. And some of those are coming out of the Michigan Challenge Academy, and some of them are also graduating out of the Michigan Job Challenge program.
So
Okay.
Randy, I think it would be interesting to talk with the other areas and just think about the community supports for our African American students, because I feel like the NAACP and their education community and some of the stuff that Mr. Bonner does really works with predominantly the African American kids and does a lot to really support them. And I don't necessarily see the same thing like any groups that are really focusing on the white students and supporting them. And so they may have additional support that may not be real obvious.
It's truly one of the gems of Albion, the community of Albion. And I'll make sure I make that statement to the Civil Rights Commission, because it really is. I mean, everyone's working hard to make sure that our young people, African Americans, can get into school and flourish, and you can see it. And they really do. You know, there's a lot of kids that we see, like the young lady that spoke in that panel to the community. She was real clear about what she was getting and the increased opportunities and pathways she's receiving from Marshall. And for her to be that way and that aggressive about that and that confident about that, and she's going to be an Albion Fellow. So, you know, really good stuff. And you saw John Taj Wallace's picture on the billboard on I-94. So, you know, we see full circle, and it's really gratifying to see that work. Yep. So this is what I call the fishbowl. From an evaluation standpoint, we asked a number of students, and this young lady right here, dead in the center, and this young lady are both responsible for this concept. They came to me and talked to me about what do we mean by student engagement, and they said some teachers weren't, you know, caring about them past academics and discipline, and wanted to know what they could do about it. And I asked them to identify a couple teachers that they thought were really good at it, and they did. And so I suggested that we bring them and their friends and peers and young people that could actually speak up about this and answer some questions I would work through them with about engagement and positive professional relationships and what their roles are in school. Hopefully the volume is good. Just a caveat, not an excuse, this is a proud moment. This was produced by all students without any adult supervision whatsoever. Because it was in our green room over at the middle school, okay? So with that, go ahead and roll it.
The backdrop of this is, in our schools, there's an important relationship that needs to exist between our teachers and the students. What are some of the expectations we have of each other that supports a good teaching and learning environment? And so we want to start the conversation off by asking, let's talk first about our expectations of your role as a student. What is the role of the student in a school situation and in Marshall Public Schools?
Get an education.
Mm-hmm.
Are you actually saying?
Oh, get an education.
I also to be respectful.
Be respectful. Do your work.
Follow the investment
So let's talk about your role as a teacher. What are your expectations of your role as a teacher? And all of you, what are your expectations of your teachers?
I think to piggyback off what Leslie, this is like looking, I'm not really sure what to call you in this situation, but saying is teaching the kids, like how do you advocate for yourself? What does that look like? Because as 8th graders, I can imagine it's kind of difficult to acknowledge, first of all, not understanding something, and then going up to the teacher and admitting that and asking for help.
Safety. We'll make sure you're always safe, no matter what, hallways, classrooms, outside, inside. I think sometimes it starts right there and it breaks down some of the walls.
I guess being responsible to read the kids, to find out what they need best.
And as a teacher, Leslie, does that also affect or impact how you approach that student, whether it's time to confront, time to support, time to...
Yeah, because sometimes like they'll throw a pencil down, they'll be really mad about something, and it might just be they don't get the concept, and that's their way of saying, can you help me please, without actually asking for help.
So you as teachers, you have a lot of knowledge about what you're teaching, right?
Yeah, we teach kids.
And when you add in the fact that you are teaching kids, every young person is an individual, and they bring with them a whole lot of stuff. Guys, what do you expect from your teachers?
Good relationship with them, because it's just like a better perspective of learning.
What do you mean by good relationship? Can you define that?
Like you know how like kids like put their heads down on the desk some days, or just like you know how they were saying how like sometimes you need to just like know when to like step off or kind of know when to like go and ask them if they need something for help. Like that's what like I think is why I think of like a good relationship, not like over crossing heads and values.
Communicating with the student more than just assuming something. Because I see this a lot. Most of the kids get kicked out of class without the teacher actually asking questions about something. And they just like, that one, what's it called? The step, yes, the trust, to even build a relationship with that teacher.
Respect.
What does that look like?
Like, again, go to your teacher and talk to her about anything, and show her respect as long as you don't act up or get in trouble, and she'll show you respect back and talk to you about anything that you want. And she'll be on your side.
And you said that they're on your side. Can you say that? What does that mean exactly? Does that mean they have to agree with what you're saying, or does that mean they have to be here? Pardon me? On good terms, okay. Anything else?
They show that they care.
They show that they care. How does that happen?
Well, like, if they see that you're like struggling with like work, that they can help you with it. Like, or if like your grade starts going down, then they like start helping you a little bit more.
So they're noticing that, they're connecting with you on that.
You guys, those teachers that you connect with, do they always tell you what you want to hear, or do they sometimes make you a little uncomfortable?
Being honest.
Okay.
But go ahead. What do you mean by honest?
I mean, like, tell them the truth, not just like sugarcoating a lot, because I mean, we're 8th graders and have to maybe have to hold our hand for everything. Like, tell us that you're wrong, you know, like, but don't just like you're wrong and then discipline. Like, going back to what I said, communicating, like, tell them that they're wrong and like ask how you can help fix that problem.
Why does it make a difference when I call them?
Because that's when your parents step in, and that's when they get involved.
Then they kind of know how you act in school, or having trust for that teacher and knowing that your kid is like, in a good environment.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, my kid likes that teacher.
Yeah.
Talk to her about what she's.
Or she's concerned about my child.
So there are two primary values that we have in the organization, and this is across every single building in the district. And one of them is valuing student engagement. And the other one is valuing positive professional relationships with each other. Okay? So let's talk about student engagement first. What do you think we mean by student engagement in the learning process?
Trying to do something like in class, you don't want to do it, just try, you know, like ask questions. Participate in class activities, like if you don't understand something, ask the question, don't just go for it.
Right. And then just sit there and complain and then you don't want to do nothing about it.
Right, like if you're lost, like ask, you get help, so you won't be lost.
lost on something, it shows that your mind is focused on whatever the task might be.
Hold on.
For me, it's when you guys realize that it's your education and that we can put it all out there, but it's when you guys take the reins and grab it and you start organizing yourselves and being more responsible, when you can make your going to class and getting that work done more of a priority, I think that's when you're really locked in engagement.
So, true confession to the teachers, do you always bring your A game?
Nope.
Nope. Nope. And do your kids try to do that?
Being honest here.
Kids know it? Kids know
Yeah.
you're on your A game?
Yep.
I mean, if you're gonna have these relationships with these people, I've had times where I just come in and say, listen, you know, I need your help. You know how I am with you, now you need to help me a little bit here, I'm struggling with it too, so it is nice to have that kind of relationship.
So the second value that we have is positive professional relationships. Positive relationships among each other, positive relationships among student and teacher, all of that. And that's really important. What are some of the things that you do to maintain positive relationships with your students?
We're all people, we all have personal feelings, we all have setbacks, we all have confidence, we all have goals. It's nice to know that.
And what do you, as students, what do you look for from teachers to build positive relationships? How do you know that this individual versus this individual, somebody you can do that with in a positive relationship?
Just showing that funny side of me, you as a teacher, and showing us like that outside. You guys think teachers never went home. So like they stayed at school all year. So show me that you have a life and like a better
That's important. That's important. Showing that you have a life outside of teaching, showing that you're more than you're human, and that you got things going on outside of teaching.
Well, I think the same could be said for them. Like, I hope that if nothing else, if you learned nothing from me this year academically, you realize that I care about you more as a student, or not as a student, sorry, that's totally not what I meant to say, as a person, than as a grade in my grade book.
And once I know their name, it's how every time I see them, or stop, how's it going, how's it doing? Yeah, treat you guys like my own kid. If you have a cut, come let me know. You got those Band-Aids, or you're hungry.
If anybody had something to say that didn't have an opportunity to say it, if you'd like to bring it up now, it'd be fine.
I like how like the teachers are like get you engaged and have like movement in classes.
So activities and different things.
Yeah. Learning better is like being. Most kids are kinesthetic learners, so like moving around and like that being engaged and like actually like doing something. She's been there reading the whole lesson.
I get along with all you guys to know. It doesn't matter what it looks like on paper, attendance, discipline, or grades. All of you have the capability of being great. And it may not be an A exam. It may never be more than a B exam. But when you're older, every single one of you has the capability of being awesome. And we just want to help you find that path forward that looks like for you.
What I have to say is, I resonate my answer is that we're not remember when you are, what you said, that they were about their level of knowledge. And I was at downtown this last weekend, and one of the students wrote up and said, I want to go. And one of the things he said, I just want to go. How you always made me feel. Okay, so I guess it's something to say about that.
I want to thank you all for participating.
There you go.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat.
They cut out a lot of stuff, because we had a lot more questions, but that was the best they could get up on the production, so we're gonna play that for the kids in the middle school, so they can take the time, and the teachers, so they can take the time and listen. And then, we're gonna make this available online so that people can plug into that and listen to it as far as all the teachers around the district.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Is this gonna be a recurring thing?
We're gonna get better at it. I'm not sure what we're, you know, I can run that, even have the kids run it too. I mean, they can come up with all kinds of good things. I didn't think she was gonna bring up kinesthetics.
Kinesthetic learners.
We're all kinesthetic learners, man. That's great.
Randy, and this goes back to just like reaching a lot of people, because there's, you know, a lot of people, whether they get online and go to our website or not. But again, this goes back to our Facebook conversation, which tends to come up. And is this something that we would want to link to that so that people could see it that way too? Because it is a pretty incredible video that the students put together. You know, and I mean, kudos for the students who are doing the behind the scenes work, and for those students and staff who are actually on the video and talking.
Yeah,
would just be a nice way to reach a lot more people, I think.
Absolutely. All right, that's it.
Any other thoughts, questions? Okay, we'll move to public comments. You can speak on anything, and we ask you keep it to 3 minutes. See no one, we will move to board member comments for which no action may be taken at this meeting.
So I sent everybody an email, but I want to again publicly thank Randy for coming over and talking to the coordinating council last Thursday, and it was a good cross section, really, of Battle Creek leaders that was in the audience, and so I was glad that you were there talking about what we're doing, and we are again leading and doing a lot of different things that nobody in Battle Creek is doing. So very proud of Marshall Public Schools, and thank you for being over there. It's very much appreciated.
Thanks.
There's a lot of concerts coming up, both at the high school and the middle school, so check your calendar and get out to those to support those students and staff at those concerts. And for all those high school students that are venturing out Saturday night, please be careful at prom.
Anything else? Okay, we will adjourn.
Thank you.